I'm sorry. I didn't see the little red button come on. Good afternoon, boys and girls, mommies and daddies, and grandmommies and grandpuppies. Today's story is, if you notice the title, is Much Ado About Nothing. I had a little discussion this afternoon with me, myself, and I. I personally wanted to do a thing about President's Day, but me volunteered, you've been out of school for a long time, woman, so you better brush up on your history. And of course, you know, I'm always running late. And myself says, all right, sit down and think. So that's kind of where we're at today, but we're going to touch on just little different things, okay? That sounds like a good idea. And I have to say one thing before we get started. I have a, what are they, 7 and 8, I believe nowadays, 6 and 7 or 7 and 8-year-old, two boys up in Pennsylvania that try to watch this as often as they can. If their mother is not working in the afternoon, the night shift, she goes in at 1 o'clock, she will have them watch it live that day. Otherwise, they catch up on it late. And I have to say to Caden and to Zach, I'm sorry that I was somewhat out of camera range on Friday. It was kind of done on purpose, but he got very upset because he couldn't see me. And so this is a special hello to Zach and Caden whenever you get a chance to watch this episode. Okay, with that being said, Miss Eileen, Friday, it got kind of lost in the shuffle. Maybe it was even Thursday because she knew Friday was a big day that day. Yeah, that's right. They were out of school, weren't they, Friday, Saturday? Anyway, she gave them the assignment of, excuse me, since today was President's Day, that they had to pick out their favorite president and write a paragraph. She didn't expect a long paper. They're only in the first grade, but they had to write a paragraph on why they thought President was the best president. Now, you know, most kids, including myself, usually write about either Washington or Lincoln. And I can remember when I was a senior, we had to write a senior essay. Oh my gracious sakes, I wrote about Abraham Lincoln, and I also, instead of writing about his boyhood struggles because they were very poor and the assassination of him, I wrote about him, and I want to say his love life. I wrote about him and his wife. They had quite a bit of problems, and they had children and so forth. And so I kind of took a different slant on it. And of course, I got my usual A+, but that's beside the point. So the kids were really interested, and I know that Piggy and Patty Pig and Allie the Alligator wrote about President George Washington, and he was our first president. And boys and girls, do you happen to know what he is most famous for? He cut down the cherry tree, and I forgot, did he well, he cut down the cherry tree. Okay, you can learn about it in school. Okay, that'd be better. And then Squiggly and Little Bad Wolf wrote about Abraham Lincoln, President Abraham Lincoln. And there was a couple of people wrote about President Roosevelt. We had 2 President Roosevelts. And then I think one of the kids in town, he's very smart, wrote about President Truman. So all in all, it was a very good Monday when they came back to school today with their reports. Miss Eileen was very pleased that these first graders could look up, with the help of their parents, of course, but they could look up in the encyclopedia and online, because everything's online nowadays, but they could actually figure out how to look it up and write what they thought was the most interesting facts. That's the way she told them. She said, you try to be in order of what fact comes first, but just write about 4 or 5 facts that you thought was interesting. Like Abraham Lincoln was very tall. And a young little girl, I don't know how old she was, maybe 10 or something, wrote him a letter. Now this is way back, even before GrandMommy was born, okay? 1800 something. And she wrote him a letter, and she said that she thought he would look good with a beard. For many years, he didn't have a beard. And so it depends on when you see the picture of him. If he has a beard, then that was right just before he got to be president and until he was killed. So no beard is before his presidency and when he was growing up. So now that's a fact. So that's a fact, and that's one of the things that Miss Eileen told them they could write about. Well, another thing is now Saturday has come and gone, and Little Bad Wolf has a new name. Does anybody remember what it is? David Isaiah Cole Brown. What a long name. But you know, Little Bad Wolf, he's going to be a tall guy when he gets grown. And so that big long name is, I think, very suitable for him. So the next day, Sunday, they went to church, and different people were calling him by different names. One person would say, "Hey, David, how you doing?" And the next person would say, "LBW, I'm so glad you wore that shirt today. I love that shirt." And the next person would say, "Little Bad Wolf, can you come out and play today?" Bless his heart, he just didn't know what to answer to. And Mrs. Farmer Brown, she noticed it, and she said, "Mr. Farmer Brown, honey, we got a problem." And Mr. Farmer Brown says, "What is your problem?" My hair is all crooked today. He says, "What's our problem?" And she says, "Well," she says, I think, she says, "I think Little Bad Wolf is not too happy with his name." And Mr. Farmer Brown says, "I don't understand. What do you mean?" And she says, "Well, I'll tell you later." She says, she says, "I'll tell you later." So when they got home, the 3 little pigs were knocking on the door, of course, and so Little Bad Wolf went out to play. And he says, "Okay," he says, "what's the matter?" And she says, "Well, honey," she says, "Mr. Farmer Brown, didn't you see that everybody was calling him a different name today, and he didn't know what to do?" And he kind of looked upset, like maybe this wasn't the right thing to do, is to give him a name, and especially the way we did it. And Mr. Farmer Brown says, "Oh," he said, "Wow," he said, "I didn't think about that." He says, "I just wanted Little Bad Wolf to enjoy his day and to have fun, and he says, maybe we didn't do the right thing." Oh my goodness. What are they going to do? So supper time came, and Mrs. Piggy got a phone call, and it was from Mrs. Farmer Brown. And she says, "Mrs. Piggy," she says, "I need some help." She says, "Would you and the boys like to join us for supper tonight?" Mrs. Piggy says, "Tonight? Well, if you want us to, what's going on?" And she says, "Well," she says, "we kind of suspect that maybe Little Bad Wolf doesn't like his name, or something is wrong. So I would like you and the boys to come over, and you can take our lead from what we say as to what you should say. I know I'm not used to little boys because I only had my little girl, and I don't think you ever got to meet her except that one little bit of a time when she came home. She says, I just don't know how to do little boys, and you've got 3 little boys, and so if you all could come over, and you know that your boys will have an opinion, and maybe it will help Little Bad Wolf to figure out what he wants, what this is all about. Well, now Mrs. Piggy says, of course we'll come over, Mrs. Farmer Brown. Of course we will. Now, about that time, the boys came in the house. They had walked the way home. They, you know, Little Bad, I keep wanting to say Little Brown. Little Bad Wolf was there first at his house, and then they walked on home. And so she told them that they were going to go to supper tonight. And they said, oh, where are we going to go? Are we going to go to McDonald's or what? And she says, no. She says, we're going to go to Mr. and Mrs. Farmer Brown's house. And they looked at her and they said, we are? Well, that's unusual. They don't have us over for supper a lot. And we were just with them yesterday, Saturday, and we were at church today, Sunday, and we're going to go over to their house tonight. And she said, yes. She says, Mrs. Farmer Brown, she's got some extra special supper cooked, and so she wants us to come over. So they took a quick shower, and this is 2 showers in one day for these boys. Took a quick shower and put some clean clothes on, and off they go. And of course, Mrs. Piggy didn't say anything to the boys about what was going to happen or what was going to be said. She was going to just wait and see, you know, because they're going to jump in and say something, those boys will. You know that. So, supper was delicious. Oh my gosh, sakes. Delicious. She had... okay, so let's change the menu. She had fish because Mr. Farmer Brown had been out fishing, and usually he takes Little Bad Wolf with him, and Little Bad Wolf, of course, was playing this afternoon, you know, with the boys. So anyway, they got to talking around the dinner table, and Mrs. Farmer Brown says, Little Bad Wolf, what have you decided that you're going to be called? Do you know what you would like to be? And he got this funny look on his face, and so Mrs. Piggy quickly said, well, I think that you had a really nice party yesterday, Little Bad Wolf. I certainly enjoyed helping Mrs. Farmer Brown. And she said, do you like your name? And he smiled. He's got such a pretty smile. Shows all of his teeth, his great big old teeth. And he said, yes, I do, but I'm a little bit confused. And so Mr. Farmer Brown said, oh, why are you confused? And he says, well, he said, this morning at church, he said, everybody called me by a different name, and I just didn't know what to do, and I didn't know how to answer, and I didn't know which one to answer first because they were all calling me a different name, and I don't know what to do. And he started to cry. Well, then, of course, Mommy Piggy, she had to cry a little bit too. And so Squiggly, being the smartest one he is, he said, Little Bad Wolf, he said, you know what I think? And Little Bad Wolf says, no, but I wish that you'd tell me because I just don't know what to do. And he says, well, why don't you do like what you said before the party? Do you remember what you said before the party? Little Bad Wolf says, I kind of do, but if you can remember better than me, tell me what I said. And so Squiggly says, well, this is what you said. And Wiggly and Piggly, both at the same time, I know what you said, I know what you said. And Mrs. Piggy says, boys, Squiggly's talking. So Squiggly says, little bad, phew, don't know why Grandmommy keeps saying little brown wolf, little bad wolf. So Squiggly says, little bad wolf, you said that if you liked the name that you pulled out of the hat, that you would go by that name, but maybe until you got grown up and graduated high school, that you would still go by the name of Little Bad Wolf or LBW. That's right, Little Bad Wolf says. I did say that, didn't I? And with that, he got a big smile on his face. Well, Mrs. Farmer Brown looked at Mr. Farmer Brown, and she goes, like that. He goes, whew, like that. The piggies didn't see this, and Little Bad Wolf didn't see this, because they were all just jumping up and down and saying, woohoo, we remembered, we remembered, we remembered. Well, Mommy Piggy's looking at Mr. Farmer Brown and Mrs. Farmer Brown, and everybody is smiling. Oh, thank goodness. We finally got to the end of that mystery. But they all settled down again, and Mrs. Farmer Brown brought out the dessert. Oh, she had made fresh blueberry pie. Oh my gracious sakes, with vanilla ice cream on top. That's better than whipped cream. So she says, well, Little Bad Wolf, I'm glad that you remembered what you had said. I'm glad that Squiggly remembered what you had said so he could help jog your memory. So then you want to be called Little Bad Wolf, maybe until the, what, 7th or 8th grade? And Little Bad Wolf looked at her kind of funny, and he says, well, I thought maybe till I was a senior in high school. And she says, yeah, you could do that. She says, I think that LBW would be better suited for you when you got to be in high school or middle school. And so Mrs. Piggy, because they asked her, to come over and help them, Mrs. Piggy says, that's a good idea, Mrs. Farmer Brown, but you know what? He's got a long ways to go, so why don't we wait until the boys, and she looked at Piggly, Wiggly, and Squiggly, and then she smiled at Little Bad Wolf. She says, let's wait until the boys, the last year that they're in elementary school is the 6th grade. So why don't we talk about that the summer before they go in the 7th grade, because that'll be middle school. And I bet you, Little Bad Wolf, didn't you say you wanted to try out for football when you got to be high school? And Little Bad Wolf says, oh, I sure do, because I can run fast, and I'm going to be tall, and I can throw good. Yes, I want to try out for football. She says, well, she said, I know. She said that if you try out for football when you're in the 7th grade, and you make the junior team, well, that gives you 3 years of experience to learn the sport and to be real good at it. And then when you get to be in high school, boom, you're on the team. Oh, Mr. Farmer Brown says, you're right. I don't know why I didn't think about that. He says, I know that. Mr. Farmer Brown has never played football in his life, but don't say anything, okay? He's more of a baseball player. So they agreed. So from now on, until the 6th grade, Little Bad Wolf is called Little Bad Wolf. And if Grandmommy is still telling these stories by the time the boys get to be in the 6th grade, we'll all be old, and we'll also hope they remember that it's time for Little Bad Wolf to maybe change his name. And I wonder what it would be. Would it be LBW? Or David, Isaiah, Cole, Brown. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. And Wednesday is the beginning of Lent for all those who participate in Lent. And I wonder what the boys are going to give up. Because you have to give up something that is really makes you think and makes you think about Jesus and everything. And it's going to be interesting what the boys choose. And most children choose chocolate candy or potato chips because they like that the best. And it does have to be something that you like, because otherwise it wouldn't be hard to give it up. If you didn't like liver, GrandMommy likes liver, but if you didn't like liver, it wouldn't be hard to give that up now, would it? Because you'd hardly ever eat it, so you wouldn't miss it. So you have to give up something that you really like, okay? So we'll talk about that Wednesday, and I think that's all. So what do you do now, guys? You share, you like, and you comment. And since GrandMommy didn't give a time this morning when I was going to be on, I bet you if I looked, there wouldn't be anybody. Oh, there are people watching. Hi, Norris. Oh, for crying out loud. I haven't seen you for years and years and years and years and years. When you and Laura helped me move over here to Tampa. How wonderful. And good afternoon, Raylene. How wonderful to see you. All right. See, I can say hello to those people because they say they got their names down there. I don't know what I'm trying to say now. So, boys and girls, this will be all for today, and I will see you Wednesday. Okay? Bye-bye.